University. And then I was a graduate assistant at Catholic U, and I coached there for 2 seasons and got my master's. And then I found Jill, and now I'm part of the coaching college, and I'm basically just learning how to be a great goalkeeper coach through teaching courses at TKI, individual sessions, and learning from Jill and everybody else that's here too.
It was a very serendipitous meeting, right? Like you ran into two people that I know separately, and both of those people told you to come to TKI and figure out how you can learn from, all the great coaches at TKI. And it was a very sporadic walk in a coffee shop type, serendipitous moment for you.
So I was actually working at a coffee shop over the summer. And Morgan Rule came in, and she was coaching at Maryland, and I recognized her, and she offered to meet up with me and get coffee and talk about soccer. And I was like so excited, and I met with her, and she was like, "You need to go learn from Jill." And I was like, wow, 3 hours, like that's a little far, but I'll try to get down to a session. And I wasn't able to. And then later on, I met Nicole Barnhart, and she also said, "You need to go learn from Jill." So then I was like, all right, forget driving down there for 3 hours. I just need to move my whole life there and go learn from Jill. And I saw that she had started the coaching college, and I was really interested in that. So I gave her a call, and she hired me.
Call Jill. Jill delivers, guys. Come on.
Exactly.
We got two people right there. Your whole life for.
Yep.
I don't know why, but like in my head, you said call Jill, she delivers, and all I could think about is Tom Brady's new Pizza Hut commercial. Have you seen that?
Miss Staying Hut.
Yeah, Miss Staying Hut. Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I love it. Well, so that's how you got here. That's kind of like your coaching journey thus far. Before we even get to like the questions about TKI specifically or the coaching college, tell us a little bit more about why coaching. What is it that made you decide I really want to put my time and efforts into becoming a coach and like funnel my career into that path?
Yeah, so I was coaching at Catholic, and it was just me and the head coach. So I was an assistant coach, but I really was super focused on the goalkeepers. I really liked that part. I was a goalkeeper in college, so I just loved spending all my time with the goalkeepers pretty much. And then I realized that I wasn't that good at goalkeeper training from player to coach. And I was super passionate about that because I never had a goalkeeper trainer growing up, but I didn't have one in college. Like I was pretty much just athletic. And then I made it to the college space. And so I became more invested on how do I get better at this for the athletes that I'm currently training, because they deserve, an amazing goalkeeper coach. And there just wasn't a lot of information on the web about goalkeeping, about drills that you should be running and like how to improve things. So I just became more passionate about being a better goalkeeper coach, especially because I never had that. And there's just not enough goalkeeper coaches in general for the youth to college. And I wanted to be in that space, especially as a woman, and being a female coach in the goalkeeping world.
Love it. Love, love, love. So let's get into the next part, the coaching college. So we see how you got there. It was a serendipitous meeting, according to Jillian. And you applied and pretty much moved your whole life here right after the holidays. So you've also, not only that, we should also mention the fact that you immediately went to San Diego for almost 2 weeks with
10 days.
The TKI crew to train.
This is a pretty crazy story. Yeah. So I moved here and I was supposed to start on the 5th. And I was like, I need to get there a week early to like settle down, make sure I'm comfortable in my place. And then I move here. The next day I come to the TKI facility trying to meet Jill. Jill's not here, but somebody's like, hey, Kira, you must be Kira. And I turn around, it's Kaylin Sheridan. I'm like, wow, I knew I was going to meet Kaylin at some point, but I didn't know it was going to be right now. And I think I played it cool. And, but I'm freaking out about that. So I leave the facility. I'm calling everyone I know, like, oh my God, look who I just met. And then Maria calls and I'm like, gosh, Kira, like, what could you have done yet? Like, how are you in trouble already? But Maria says, she's like, hey, would you want to go to San Diego with us? It's going to be family style Airbnb with my whole family, Jill, plus Dom and Kaylin. Like, would that be okay? And I'm like, yes, this is my dream. So like not even 48 hours later, we fly out and I'm like dragging 18 checked bags through the airport with all these soccer balls and Jill, Maria, and her whole family. And yeah, that's pretty much how it started. First day on the job.
But it's like the fast track. It's the hottest trail. It's the course.
What a better way to meet your boss and to find out that you're going to be working for Jill and Maria and get to know them that way.
There you go.
We had GTs all around.
So it started out in a lovely, all expenses paid trip to San Diego. But let's talk about kind of the details of the kind of what you've done so far with your role. Like, how has the experience been? Is there any takeaways that you have in I guess you're kind of coming up on a month time at TKI in the coaching college?
Yeah. My biggest takeaway is training kids in a safe environment, creating that safe environment, because I think that's really where you have to start, is making sure that they feel comfortable to explore what they're capable of and be brave and not be afraid of making mistakes. So I would say that. And then at TKI, we focus so much on in possession, and it's not something that I necessarily had built into my drills for goalkeepers before, maybe something they did more within a team activity. So I really like the drills where I can build an in possession into those and really start working with that, because it's just not something that I've done before. And yeah, I feel like those are my two biggest takeaways from the first few weeks of working here.
Nice. Well, Kira, I think that our audience wants to get to know you a little bit more, as well as everybody in our community in New Jersey. So I have a few rapid fire questions for you so that we can get to know you, and so can our audience. All right. Early bird or night owl?
Ooh, night owl for sure. I wish I was an early bird.
Coffee of choice?
Caramel iced latte with oat milk.
Okay. Do you have any nicknames? I'm curious.
Sometimes people call me Kiki. That would be the only nickname I have.
Oh God. You're going to start some kind of thing with Tori because she gives everybody a nickname.
You like that one?
A lot.
In college, everybody called me Hut. That was my nickname. Okay.
What about Keeks? Does anyone call you just Keeks?
Keeks? No, but it's up for, and it's an option, Tori.
I'm into that.
I'll respond Keeks just to you, though.
Okay.
As long as you don't call her Eileen, Tori.
Well, no promises. That was super tasty.
All right. Best female athlete of all time, in your opinion?
Serena Williams. I love Serena Williams.
That's mine too. If you could wear any sport jersey, what would it be?
Ooh.
Any team, any sport.
Any team, any sport. Probably the Washington Spirit, women's soccer, of course.
That's fair. Who's been the biggest influence on your life?
I would say my mom and my sister. I'm really close with both of them, and my mom is what, helped me get here and helped me get through college and everything. So I definitely owe her all the credit.
Okay. And Tori's favorite question to ask anybody is, what is your preference on how to eat a potato?
How to eat a potato. Personally, I like mashed potatoes a lot. So you got to mash it up, put all the spices in. That's the best way.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that. I do have one more question before. Obviously, we have a list. I know all of our listeners love the list. So we're going to have a list on some things and ideas that we have if you want to one day transition into coaching. But before we get there, I was just really curious in terms of like who you are as a coach and how that kind of like enhances the goalkeeping community as a larger whole, because we're all so different. Everyone at TKI, we have really similar ideas on how to interpret the position and how to teach it, but we're all so different. And I think that there is something to celebrate the uniqueness of each individual. So I'm curious about you.
Yeah, I think something about me as a coach, I'm very enthusiastic and I have a lot of energy. And I really play into that, especially working with younger kids, because it just helps make the environment more comfortable for them. If you're a little all over the place and you're making it really obvious that you're excited and happy to be working with them. And then like playing wise, like being really preventative, being really brave, and like just developing goalkeepers just to have the confidence to own the 18, I think is what would define my coaching. And just, you know, being able to explore that consistently, and also just like being super confident, like I'm going to get any cross that comes in, like nobody can score on me, developing that kind of mentality.
Yeah, I love that. One more question is, when you were still playing, did you ever think that you would one day coach? And I'm not trying to fish you to have any answer. I think whatever you answer, our listeners can really resonate with.
Honestly, no. I never thought I would be coaching. I never had a goalkeeper coach. So, like, honestly, I didn't even think that that was like a job that was available. But I never thought I'd be coaching. But I just, as soon as I tried it, I loved it, and I was like, this is totally meant for me.
Yeah. So, backstory for me is that.
Kris, can you hear me, dude? Kris, can you hear me? Hello, hello? Kris, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Kris, can you hear me? Mic check 1 2, test test.
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Just making sure that you can hear me. Okay, there we go. I wasn't on my H6 Zoom. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you better. Is
one, two.
my mic good? I might just take this out. It's
Yeah. You sound good, dude.
let's try. Okay.
Yeah, look at that. Now you're coming in. Now you're coming in loud and clear. I love it. You got a whole setup there, dude.
I'm coming in loud and clear now.
Yeah.
That's better?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good.
All right,
That is good indeed. All right, let's get this going. Hold on 1 second here. I'm gonna change the banner here. And here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, no 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber, as we are getting ready for the NWSL season to kick back off. As a lot of you guys are aware, NWSL MLS are rearing to go. They're in their hot preseason right now. But joining us is someone who knows a little bit about the professional game, the one and only Sac Republic's Kris Hall. What's up, dude? I think you're frozen. I think you are frozen. Can you hear me? Kris, I think you froze. Kris, I think you froze. Hello? Okay. Let's try that again. Okay, good times. Are frozen. Come back in the room. Okay, guys, we're having a little bit of technical issues. There is a lot of rain going on here in LA, so maybe that's the issue. He should be coming back in, and we'll try it again. We will do it one more time. Apologize for that, everybody. We'll get this going again. Let's try again. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Hello. All right. Let's see if he comes back in. He got kicked on it. He says he got kicked out. Weird. That doesn't make any sense. Weird. Try again. All right. We'll try this one more time, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on here. That's never happened before. All right. Let's add him to the stage. Kris, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. That was weird.
Dude, that was weird. We'll start that all over again. Here we go. Welcome back to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, no 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber, as she is getting ready for the NWSL season to get going. But we got somebody that knows a little bit about the pro game, the one and only Sac Republic's Kris Hall. Kris, what's up, dude? Did you get kicked off again? You got to be kidding me. What is going on here? What is going on here? Why are you getting kicked off? This is unbelievable. This is like shtick now. This is getting to be shtick. This is unbelievable. Dude, what is going on?
I'm just sitting here watching it go in and out. I don't know. I'm like,
Okay,
everything looks fine.
I won't do the intro. I'll just get you going right now. All right, guys. The one and only Maverick Goalkeeping Academy and Sac Republic's Kris Hall. Kris, we are not going to do another intro right here because I am scared to death what will happen. The goalkeeping gods do not want you to share any of the information about what you might have ready for your USSF course, apparently.
I guess it's all proprietary, I suppose.
So tell us a little bit, guys. First off, guys, if you're not familiar with Kris, Kris is a goalkeeper aficionado. He runs Northern California, in my opinion. He's got more goalkeeping academies and more clubs that this guy's working at than any other human being. Kris, tell us a little bit about what you have going on.
Yeah, right now I'm the executive director for a club in Vacaville called Vacaville United Soccer Club. I'm going into my 6th year there. I started Maverick Goalkeeper Academy in 2012 when I was coaching at Cal Poly, and we started out with camps and clinics. And then in 2017, we went with a club concept. So the curriculum I'd built over that time was tried and true and successful. So clubs started contracting us out, and I started scaling that, hiring more staff and training them within my methodology and putting them in there. Last time we talked, I was coaching for the Oakland Roots for the first team. I left in 2021, and that's when I started in Vacaville, and I took a head coaching job in the NPSL for FC Davis, and then I left FC Davis because I had an opportunity to go to the Sac Republic and in their youth academy. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm the goalkeeper coach for the Sac Republic Academy. I still run and operate Maverick Goalkeeper Academy, and we've grown a ton, and I'm the executive director in Vacaville.
I mean, dude, that's a lot of hats to be wearing all at one time. You know, one of the things I want to ask you about that is that a lot of people out there who might not be, from the United States, they might be overseas. They don't know a lot about USL and the United Soccer Leagues and the level of competition at the professional level there, and then at the amateur level as well too. How much of a relationship with the pro team do the USL Academy teams have as well?
It's just like there. It ranges from club to club. When Franz Hook was at Manchester United, I asked him, how much are you involved in the youth? And he said, I'd love to be, but at the time, almost none, because we just we have to win now. And so sometimes that's how it is here as well. USL teams are very competitive. They're very good. And fortunately enough, we are lucky. The head coach, Neil, he's really involved in the youth academy. He's out there a lot. He's watching the players. He's very passionate about their development. So I would say that's what drew me to the Republic is we're more forward-minded than I would say most in as far as youth development to the pro team. And I'm all about youth development.
I mean, dude, look, that's one of the interesting things about that is there's so many people out there, and I want a lot of young coaches to hear this out there because, Kris, how many young coaches go like, I want to coach at Real Madrid, I want to coach at Barcelona, and you go, well, that's great, but you know how much that 13-year-old in your neighborhood needs goalkeeper coaching? That's really what's important out there. As much as you want to work with like Pena and all those guys, like these are the people that like really need teachers, and I think that's awesome that you said that, the youth game is really what you're passionate about, what you want to stay involved with.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, we have 20-ish million registered soccer players in the United States, and probably 1 or 2% are the highest level. So that means where's there the most amount of educated needed? The grassroots. But that's where we allocate the least amount of resources. So, I mean, that's a big platform of MGA's accessibility. A lot of goalkeeper coaches or academies, they thrive on the pro stuff. You don't see me post too much of the pro stuff. It's more the youth, because that's where we need the education. And I would say that's one of those things that's dangerous, is we draw from the pro game for youth. And I'll go back to Franz. I've done a lot of work with him, and when he comes here, you either love him or you don't. And coaches will say, well, that's great, he coached at Barcelona and Manchester United and these national teams, but that's not my reality. Okay, but then on the flip side, we're looking at the pro game for goalkeepers, and we go, that's what my 9-year-old needs to do. Mm-hmm. But we don't understand what their references are, their context. So it's hard to take from the pro game and say this is what they need. You have to take from their actual games. You have to go to a new U9 game, watch them, and go 5 or 6 or 10 of them and go, okay, now I know what they need because these are the situations. And then think about the early stage of development they're in. What can they learn? You know what I mean? How many 9-year-olds are intentionally whipping it across or trying to chip the other kid? We don't really need to focus on that at those age groups. We need to focus on positioning, catching, distribution, so on.
It's great you just brought that up, because it's making me think of something that Nathan Thackeray, and the guys who are not familiar with Nathan Thackeray, he was goalkeeper coach and an assistant coach and I think an associate coach, head coach for a while with North Carolina Courage before. Now he's taken on a full head coaching position with a pro team. But he said, you need to understand the demands of the game. You need to understand the demands of the game of the players that you're working with. And if you don't understand what their demands are, you're not going to be able to create your sessions. Your session designs are not going to be based on reality. They're going to be based off concept of what other people are telling you the demands of the game are. And I can't tell you, and I think, this is going to kind of go into the topic when we get into it, but like there's so many people out there building session designs based off what they see at coaching courses or what they see online or what they see watching a Premier League game. And then they wonder why this isn't being successful, why these session designs aren't being successful in their environment.
Yeah, I always say you got to be careful about taking from, someone once told me the best coaches are the best thieves, right? We take from each other and we learn, but then you have to make it your own. It's really difficult. You get a session you give me a session, and we may have the same philosophy, but we teach differently. And if you don't explain that session to me, it's like I'm going to your house and trying to make a sandwich. I'll figure it out, but I'm going to open up a bunch of cabinets, make a lot of mistakes, right? So it's super important that you design your own sessions. We can take from each other, we can share with each other, but you have to make it your own. I mean, we should be taking from each other and sharing, but then you have to make it your own. And that comes with deep thought, right? Actually thinking about what it is you want to achieve and accomplish. And that's why I'm a big fan of the licenses. That's why, I finished my U.S. Soccer Federation B while I was waiting for that. I went to Europe. I did my UEFA B. I finished that. I said, you know what? I haven't had enough yet. The U.S. Federation came out with the goalkeeper license. I said, I'm going to take that, because every time they challenge me to rethink about what it is I'm doing, and then I make everything better around me. So because I'm being challenged, what I believe in, what this is supposed to be like, then all the kids that I'm training, whether they're very high level or they're grassroots, they're going to get better because of that.
It's interesting you say that. And by the way, I've said interesting you say that, I think, like in every single thing that you've said today. So it's very interesting, everything that you're saying. But the thing about the licenses and the badges is this was brought up to me a few years back, is that goalkeeping can become very tribal. And by that, they meant very secular and very much like, a regional thing that this is, I've only worked with these people. I've only been trained by these people. I've only been educated by these people. And because of that, you're not really expose yourself to challenge yourself to think outside of your box of what you've been, what you believe, and explore, just like we ask the players to explore and trial and fail as well too. I think it's important as educators that we put ourselves in environments that are uncomfortable for us.
Yeah.
And learn from that. And I think you doing something such as going overseas and taking badges puts you in a different environment that may not be as comfortable for you, because federation environment or, the United Soccer coaches environment can seem very, I know him. He coaches at blah, blah, blah. And like, so-and-so played against me in college and blah, blah, blah. And like, even like the instructor, like, yeah, he and I go way back to blah, blah, blah. But like you go overseas to like Wales or something, you're like, I don't know any of these people. Yeah. It's like first day at school type stuff.
It was. And even arranging the travel and stuff, you're thinking about like, I'm all by myself. I'm alone. I'm going to do this. But I made a lot of really great connections. I met someone over there who owns Body Mind Performance. And, that's another area. It's like, I'm really passionate about goalkeeping, about the psychological aspects of stuff. And then I met the owner of this company and she was doing her UEFA B. And then I was like, dude, that's so cool. Not enough clubs think about that. How do we integrate that back into what we're doing? So, the licenses are a great way to meet new people, get outside your comfort zone for sure. That was a big part of going over to Europe is, I've taken every license from grassroots all the way to the Federation B. And it was like, I knew this was going to be different. I didn't even know how, but I said, I want different. And it was a really great experience. I met new people, more connections, expand our network, right? And then I found a company that, we're investing into with our youth players. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I just zoomed in right there to see if that would be a better view, and it is not a better view. In fact, that is a terrifying view. If I just did that again, it's way too much of my forehead. We don't need that. We don't need that at all. I think that one of the great things that you're saying right there is that, like, a lot of us there are being told that there's a certain way to do things, and this is quote unquote the right way to do things. And the more and more I've gotten into this, the more and more I've realized. I think it was Phil Whedon who told me this. He says, the more and more you do it, you realize the less and less you know. Mm. And just like I tell players, there's no right or wrong way to do things. I as an educator, I've recognized there's no right or wrong way to do things. There's just different ways to do things, and there's things that might be more successful than others. And it's up to us to determine what's going to work in our environment, And I think for so long we've been getting up on our soapboxes and saying it's supposed to be done this way because I watched, a webinar during COVID and they told me this is how you do it without a possession and in possession and blah, 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 or whatever. Look, I think everyone just has to find what works for their environment. So with that being said, let's talk about creating your own environment where you have autonomy and how you can do that and balance it at the same time as working in a pro club, which is going to have its own, different demands.
Yeah. I know I'll segue into that, but touch on what you're just saying. We all start coaching from our experiences, right? So when we all start coaching, very rarely do we start with a license. We just we get a team or we get a group of goalkeepers and we start coaching the way we were coached. And when I was playing, my biggest influences was an English coach, goalkeeper coach, and then my Colombian coach in college. So very different, styles. And then when I also was in college, I had the opportunity to go overseas and go to the Netherlands and teach. That's when I met Franz. So kind of started working some camps with him. And so with the English and the Colombian coach way back then, I call it like grandma's cooking. It was like a pinch of this and a dash of that. You just have to, you're not told how to get in position. You just get in position. But then with the Dutch and the German is very scientific. It's pragmatic, if this, then that. And so for positioning sake, it's like the goal is a protractor. So it's very scientific. In between the ball and the center of the goal, you're the radius between the 2 points. And so that makes sense, and it goes to everything, why we catch, why we dive, why we do this, 1v1s. checking for understanding. And then I brought my education piece into that. And so then going back to, how do you build your academy off that? It first starts with, we have to do the same thing that we do in the licenses. If you have this way that you want to teach, you have to start with what your game model is, even for goalkeeping. So what is your profile of the perfect goalkeeper? And then you work downward from there. What should they know at 19 to get to there? What should they get to 16, and then 15, and then 13, and so on by stage of development? So you actually create what it is that you believe in and why, and then you go into your curriculum and your periodization. And then if you started as a business, your mission and vision. And MGA has developed so much since 2012. And right now our vision is accessible goalkeeping for all those who want it. So inexpensive, discounted if we can, grassroots, high level, it doesn't matter. If you want it, we have something for you and we'll make it affordable. And so, and I think that's really important for me. The way that I grew up and everything, and the way the business developed is we want to give back. And so we start with our game model.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry. I thought you were going to continue on. I thought you were going to show something about your game model, because that's why I was like, and you stopped. I was like, oh, this is a time for me to step in. Okay. So speaking of that right there, one of the interesting things that you said there is in regards to like the Colombian coach, this, Dutch coach, German coach, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of that also has to come with culture, right? Like a lot of education around the world, whether it's goalkeeping or anything like that, is based on culture, based on the environment that, the culture of the people in the area and how things are brought up and how people learn, how the environment are very different learning environments. I have a really strong feeling that if you go into a learning environment in Colombia versus a learning environment in Germany, it's going to be very different. It's a different culture, different living culture. So you have to recognize that when you're looking at this and you go, okay, what is the culture of my environment? And how do I make it positive for, it's the same thing as like, do I have 3 different goalkeepers that learn differently? How do I make this session productive for all of those goalkeepers? And I've been in environments before where I'm like, oh, this coach only understands how to work with goalkeepers that learn things through visually. They've never, some goalkeepers, I'm a goalkeeper, I need to go through it. I need to do it in order to understand it. If you just tell me, it's not working. If you show me, I have no idea what you just did. But if you have me go through the activity and understand then I understand the why. I've got to, there's going to be like a tangible thing with me. So that's how I learn. And I think that's really important to have that avenue. And I feel that in independent academies, it's easier to do that than it is in a professional academy where there might've been a structure that was put together by somebody else. I mean, I don't know if you've ever felt that way.
Yeah, that's true. Again, I'm really lucky with the Sac Republic. I've been given a lot of autonomy to shape the goalkeeper program in the direction I want to do it. So, it's Kris Hall who works for the Sac Republic. It's not MGA, but they get all the benefits of that because I've spent 20 years developing my curriculum periodization. And then of course there's the cooperation because it's a pro environment, youth pro environment where you have to work with the coaches on certain things. But, we have a lot of collaboration. We discuss, the goal players and the goalkeepers. We discuss them, quite often and how they're doing it. But still at the end of the day, I'm very supported in what I want to do with them. So that is different than the youth. I would say there's even more so in the youth areas. A lot of directors aren't goalkeepers, right? And
that's an understatement.
Yeah. I'm just saying like that. And so goalkeeping is like performance training and mental training. Oftentimes it's a box that we just have to check. I'm a director in a club. You just have to check boxes sometimes to say, yeah, we provide it. Is it good or bad? I don't know, but you're running the business. You're trying to grow the clubs. You're trying to get to higher levels. You're trying to keep those levels. And so that's what MGA does is we put all that together. We do reports for all those clubs. And so the directors they can check the box with us, but they're still going to get that full plan. And I think the tough part is, goalkeepers, we're on an island. Even if you're a really great coach and director, and you're put into a club and you're doing all this work, and then it's not validated because the coaches still do IDPs with the goalkeepers, not you. Or you're not paid to do it, or the directors don't understand what you're doing. It's just you all alone. And so, going back to the goalkeeper union, it's just, we kind of have our own little ecosystem, and we're bouncing ideas off of each other and supporting each other within that club. And then I manage the big picture with the club itself, and, all the periodization and the reports. So, it's just trying to make the environment better for us. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for everyone to kind of jump into that market, because at the end of the day, if we don't do it, who's going to do it?
I think one of the things about that is that, like, what you were talking about, and this I was actually brought up to me years and years and years ago. There was a goalkeeper coach who made a living as a goalkeeper coach, and he also had a team. And I was like, oh man, that's so, you're a goalkeeper. That's, they must just get private goalkeeper training, with you. And he says, no, I have 18 other dudes out there. Like there's somebody that's working with him in isolation, and then I work with him, incorporating him into the team and then coaching him in the team environment. But I can't go off and just work with him in isolation, and I leave 17 other guys to do their own thing. So you have to understand the demands of the environment and the demands of the job. And I think also parents need to realize that too, as opposed to thinking like, oh, great, he was a goalkeeper, so that means it's going to be, it's going to be goalkeeper training every day for my goalkeeper or whatever, So, I want to bring up the fact that this is something that I bring up when I talk to clients with my own independent academy, is that I want to provide a service that's different than what you're getting in your club environment. And when you're running a club environment and you also have players that, are working with you independently, like, is that something that you also look into consideration, making sure that what you provide in your independent environment is different than what they're getting at their club environment?
Yes. So our club concept is different than, what we do in camps, clinics, and individual training sessions. And that's, by design, but the foundation for us is education. So whether, the organizations are a little bit different or higher paced or more technical or more tactical, the education piece is still going to be the same, and it's going to be the same across the planes. So whether you're, work with us in a club, or you work with me privately, or, you're in a camp or clinic, we're going to have what our objective is, what our aim is, what our learning objectives are, what our coaching points are, what the topic is. We're not just going to train, I call it like Band-Aid training, where it's just like you show up, we're going to work on something different every time. The goalkeeper are going to get better, but everybody is on an educational plane where there's a purpose for what we're doing. And, it's hard. One of the things I get asked is, well, how do you measure the actual development of your goalkeepers? Well, if you can teach a 12-year-old and they do exactly what you want them to do every single time, let's write a book. You know what I mean? But so you can't do it based on their ability to always do it, but their understanding of when to do it. So, when you have one of our goalkeepers and they've been with us for a while, you should be able to ask them about certain situations, and they'll be like, oh, I do that, or this is the catch I would use. Or if you ask them in film review, like, why didn't you get behind that dive? I used the wrong dive, or I sat it. They'll have that down, and then the development is there. Execution is a bigger thing, right? And even at the pro level, I mean, the difference between winning and losing is just execution. They're all talented. They all have the ability, but they make mistakes, and the whole game's about mistake.
Well, and that's a great point right there, because, like, I remember years back, I was speaking to Kevin Hitchcock when at New England Revolution, and we were talking about Matt Turner, and then Matt came on the podcast as well too. We were chatting about it, and he says, with Kevin, he was like, wanted to make sure it was about intent. Is the intent there, regardless of the execution? Like, if the execution is off, that can be adjusted, but if the intent isn't there, then the understanding's not there, and then we got to go all the way back again. But if the intent is there, and I think that's one of the biggest problems in the youth level, is we focus on that final action and the execution, whether the execution was successful, rather than like, what was the why behind that? What was his intent or her intent in that action right there?
Yeah, and that's a good point. There's one thing I was going to say earlier. It's, when you're talking about different philosophies and culture, I think intent can work throughout all those, right? It's just going to be different. So when I'm working with coaches, I tell them, look, there's your way and my way and better. And so both are your way and my way merged together to be better. So we challenge each other in a positive way and in a constructive way to find better solutions for the game. So, it all goes back to just laying out what your expectations are for the goalkeeper in certain situations and really dialing it in. And that was, the US has come a long way with our education. And I'm actually really enjoying the goalkeeper license right now, because we're talking very specifically. You don't talk about the goalkeeper much in the other licenses, but the one thing I took away from the UEFA that's different than the US is the amount of detail. It was almost like we talk about the individual unit in the team, and we talk about, hey, in the grassroots, when players come, shake their hands, say hello, that personal thing. And then we lose that when we start talking about pitch geography and the big picture and the tactical. And that's what I'm trying to bring back into it. I think even myself, I've stepped away from the individual detail and just trying to give each goalkeeper individualized feedback specific to them within the topic. And you had mentioned, if there's 3 of you teaching the goalkeeper differently, my group literally just talked about this today. We're planning out our session. We go to Chula Vista. I go there tomorrow. Actually, I fly down there tomorrow. We have them in person. And we were talking about.
Is this everything that this is your homework right there?
That's the session I actually ran. Videotape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the session that I ran. That's not the session we're going to run. That was the one I ran myself for my topic. But similar, yeah. So when we were laying it out, we're talking about the objective for the team, the objective for the goalkeeper, and then the main principle, sub principle, goalkeeper actions, so on. And we did choose a portion of crossing, and we're laying out all the detail. And one of my group members said, "Well, I don't think we need all of that. Just 2 or 3 things." And I said, "No, we do need all of it." Because if the 3 of us were being coached, I guarantee you we're going to approach this differently. And maybe us as coaches, we're only going to give each goalkeeper 2 things, but it's going to be one of those 8 things. So you put all of them down on the paper as reference of this is what you need to do on these, but all of us are going to need different things. And so, to your point, yeah, you got to, it all goes down with being organized. If you have a private academy and you're not doing this is what's going to take you to the next level. You sit down, do your game model, write out all the detail, write it out in length, and then you just pick and choose what you need by the people that you have, but you have it all there for reference and going back to.
I mean, I think one of the things is that I don't want to say that you're making it idiot proof, but you're covering all your bases type of a thing, so that you're prepared in the environment. And I think being prepared is massively important. I think even much more so in the club environment than it is in if you're doing a private one-on-one training or whatever, where you've got a little bit more time to work with a player and make adjustments or whatever. But when you're in a group environment, in a club environment, especially, you got multiple sessions going on type of a thing, you better be on point with those session designs so that everything flows fluid. And if you get kids are running 5 minutes behind, or coaches take players, you can make adjustments type of a thing. I'll be completely honest with you. I enjoy the independent environment more than the club environment. I find the club environment very stressful because of that fact, and I like to have that freedom of thought. But I know there's people that are passionate about both. I find it fascinating that you do both, because a lot of the people, once they've been running their own independent programs for a while, they kind of lay away from working in a club environment or a college or anything like that. Why did you stick around, working with so many clubs while still running your own program?
Accessibility.
Okay.
It all goes back to the mission when I started this thing. When I was living on the Central Coast and I was coaching for Cal Poly, I was told, whoever the goalkeeper coach is there just picks what club they want to work with. That club does goalkeeper training. No one else does. And I went, that doesn't really sit well with me. You know, they were all good people. I mean, I interviewed with a dozen clubs down there. I liked them all. I liked all the directors. I really believed they were doing it for the right reasons. And I just thought, man, this is crummy. So I talked to them about this concept of like, well, you guys don't know me. I'm not from here. I'm not going to recruit. You know, SoCal has recruiting rules, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. I have no dog in that fight. But what if you just send it to me and I get everyone better, and then I discount it because there's going to be volume, right? And we make it accessible. So then I just did camps and clinics that way. It started, you know, catching on, and so I ran it that way. So I never left it because it goes all the way back into the roots. It's just about scalability. I can't do it all myself. So I have to hire people, train them in my methodology, and then put them into clubs, and then keep that consistency. And I think that's another benefit of it as well, of, you know, contracting out an organization is, you know, that consistency. People will come and go. Great young man. He was running Central Coast sessions for me, Nicky McCooney. He didn't get picked up by the earthquakes. He had an opportunity to go to Florida. He was working 2 clubs for me in the Bay, and he just left overnight. And I was like, hey, well, that's all right. The wheels will keep going. You know, I put someone else in there. Goalkeeper training goes. We support him on his career, right? And, you know, hopefully he circles back around. But yeah, that's no gaps in training. So consistency, no gaps in training, and then also just making it accessible to these goalkeepers. You know, you wouldn't believe how many clubs we work with where, you know, they tell us that, you know, they haven't had goalkeeper training for a year, or they've had like 6 days of goalkeeper training. And, you know, it is what it is, but it's not, you know, it's sad in that sense that, you know, we're not providing this for players who want it.
I mean, look, I worked today with a 15-year-old who is in an EA environment, and he says he doesn't have a goalkeeper coach in the EA environment. And I'm like, you know, that, you know, and again, I get so confused on what the different levels are or whatever, but from what I've heard is EA is supposed to be halfway decent. So like, and EA, you know, I just, it baffles my mind that there are clubs that are willing to have, you know, spend the money to be an EA, MPL, ECNL, MLS Next, or whatever, and they can't find it to have goalkeeper specific training within their club. Yeah. You know, again, that shocks me. Then I have other kids who are in, you know, have full-time goalkeeper training at their clubs, but what they're getting full-time goalkeeper training at their clubs, you know, is different than what I'm going to provide them. And because of that, so I asked them, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, when I find out what they're doing, I'm like, well, and their parents go like, well, let's just do more of that. I said, no, that's just why have me? What's the point? You're already getting that at your club, right? So it's all about supplementing your education type of thing. So I think that's one of the things I enjoy about the independent environment is that I get to curate, you know, content for different people based on what their needs are, always based on their demands of what they're not getting, and be able to supplement it and try to guide it to the next level. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what I'm saying, man. It's 4:34. Usually I do these at 11. It's a very different story.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. No, the EA is good. Yeah, there's a lot of good teams in the EA. It's, you know, still newer, right? I always warn people, like, be careful of, I call them lures. You know, you have these patches that are on everything now, and people hop teams and this and that.
Yep.
Go to, whether it's me or not, like, I don't care. Go to wherever you believe in what that person is doing or that club is doing. Don't choose a club because the patch or this and that. I never ever advise anyone to leave their home club. I just say, look, do what's right for you, but be a part of something you believe in. Go onto the club's website, read their mission, read their vision, talk to a director, talk to a coach, whatever it is, and then stay there. You know what I mean? Stop chasing those things, because that's where the true development is going to be. Is because, again, just like my business, right? Like, you know, one person leaves, coaches are going to leave, directors are going to leave. But if the organization has this foundation, then they're just going to replace it with like-minded people, right? And so that's my advice too. Yeah, the independent thing, it's attractive because you have complete autonomy, right? You see the goalkeeper, you talk to them, you're working with them. But the club environment, you know, I like it because you're a part of a team. I like that. You have more collaboration. You're talking to directors, and whether they take full advantage of what we offer or not, there's still that integration back into the team. Independently, we can't help the goalkeeper integrate back into their team. You know what I mean? We do the best we can with training, but we don't know what their coach is doing. We don't have access to their coach, we're always careful. I say, look, they're like, oh, but my coach doesn't want me to build from the back. Okay, then you don't build from the back. I'm not going to tell you you have to or this, that. We'll still do a little bit with your feet because I want you to, be good with your feet, but we're just not going to prioritize that because, okay, that's your environment. We never want to undercut coaches or clubs. So that's the hard part with independent, but with the club, we can go talk to them and say, hey, is this true? Like, let's talk about the way of play. This is what we think. And then we collaborate and make sure they're on a good path.
I agree in some respects, except for here's my only but right here. Okay, Kris, all right, now it's becoming first take. All right, here we go. This is why LeBron James. No, okay. So what here's my thing. I've had situations where I've talked to clients and they've told me what their coach expects of them. And I'm like, that's awesome. Cool. And they said, well, my coach doesn't want me to do this. My coach doesn't want me to do this. And I will say this, I will say, good to know. But at the same time, these are skill sets that you need to learn in order to continue your own personal development, because you may one day not play for this U16 coach. Chances are you probably won't. Chances are that won't be your college coach or your MLS coach or your Premier League coach if you ever get to these levels, right? So maybe just from an understanding and a GKIQ standpoint, maybe these are skills that you should learn. I remember.
I never go against the curriculum. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'm on the same page as you.
I thought you meant it's like my coach doesn't want me to play possession. It's like, great, we're not going to do possession. No possession.
Coaches are not goalkeeper coaches, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is they have an idea of what they're looking at, but they don't have the detail or the empathy of what they're going through. So, no, I 100% agree with you. We're still going to build their foundation within our curriculum. It's proven, but if, like I said, if a coach if the goalkeeper is like, we never build out of the back, well, we're still going to do it. It's just we're not going to make that a focal point of sessions, but there's always going to be something with the feet, warm up with the feet, some kind of counter with the feet. So, because they have to have that, whether that, like you said, with that coach, your club coach may not want that, but I'll tell you, one of the first things when college coaches reach out to me, they go, I want a goalkeeper who can play with their feet. I'm like, sure. And oftentimes that's not really true because then I watch the college play, but regardless, that's what they want, right? So, no. We try to build total goalkeepers. Everything's involved in that. Yeah, no, we're on the same page on that.
If any parent is listening to this right now, and this podcast is probably a little bit more for coaches, so probably there's not a lot of parents listening to this one, but if there are any right there, when you are putting your tapes together, with your son or daughter, and by that I mean they're involved in the process, don't just do it for them, please don't. They have to have some sort of autonomy. Please don't. That's a whole other conversation, but make sure that you are including, because I can't tell you, and I want to bring this up right now because there's so many kids right now going through the college recruiting process. We're talking about February right now. So spring signing period is coming up and there's a lot of kids, going through all that. If you just include final actions, that coach is going to be like, okay, cool. Well, I've seen 40 of these same goalkeeper right now. You're not showing me anything different than what I'm showing you. If you show me moments before the development of the play, your starting positions, how you're tracking the ball, how you can go from in possession to out of possession, recovery movements, those sorts of things. Oh my gosh. Now you got a goalkeeper that I'm like, now I can visualize how this player can play for me in our system. And not only that, if I get that as an independent coach, as your developmental coach, I am much more happy to send that to a college coach, than I'm like, oh, cool, top corner save, thank you. You know what? So can every 6'2" guy. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm being a little facetious here, but it's really true, Kris. It's really true. So I think it's really important for any young coaches out there who are building their own academies and the building their own curriculums, is that they really, really work on preventative goalkeeping in their curriculum and understanding the goalkeepers, understanding the demands of the why of, defending the goal, defending the area, defending the space, and how to transition back and forth between those. So anyway, that's my
Oh, no, I agree. And on that video piece, I interviewed Steve Sampson a couple of years ago and about the college recruiting process when he was coaching at Poly. And he said, videos, just what's our whistle? Like it gets us started. And then he said, from there, it's a conversation. And, every coach is different on the video piece. And I'm really passionate about the college piece and recruiting. That's different, maybe a different one, but I love the college recruiting stuff. And so really video is just going to capture their interest or not. So I would also say, if you send video to college coaches and they're not responding back, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not interested. It means you have to get professional advice on that video to try to recapture their interest and get in person with them. One of my favorite goalkeepers in the world, she's at a very large Division I school right now, and she's getting ready to transfer. It was her dream school. She sent them video. They just won a national championship in like 2019. They'd won a national championship. And I was like, that's a big challenge to go there. But yeah, if you really think you can, email them. No responses. But they were at a game, saw her play, and then all of a sudden she got an email from them and there was interest. So you can always change coaches' minds, but go back to your video and really dissect it. Like, did I have enough in there? Did I display my athleticism, my technique? And then you never know what coaches are looking for. Like I said, coaches ask me, I want a goalkeeper who can play with their feet. But oftentimes when I watch that school play, what do I see them doing? They go
direct
run. Yeah, they go route one, and they're really using their goalkeeper as a shot stopper. And what they really want is a very big, presence in the goal. So you don't know what the school is actually looking for until you talk to them. So that'd be my disclaimer is, definitely pull your resources on the video.
Yeah, I mean, and I had this conversation with a client last week, and I said, I was bottom line. I was like, so have you seen this school play? No, I haven't seen this play. Okay, well, do you know how they play? No. Well, I'm like, well, how do you know that you fit there?
That's fair.
Well, I mean, they have the major I'm looking for, and like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a level that I can play at. I'm like, have you ever watched the freaking league play? No. Well, I don't know where to watch them. Well, man, look, you can go online and literally just Google the school.
Yeah.
And just say soccer stream, and you can find it. Every NAIA school has a stream now. Like, you can find every level can watch their games, and you can watch the teams play. So you need to know that. And then if you want to put your tapes based on that, like if you've got specific schools you want to reach out to, like, make your tape based on, look at the way they play, and then go, okay, how do I fit into that? Then I'll put my tape together based on that type of thing. I think the biggest problem, Kris, and I know we've gone off on a complete tangent right here from this, but I think it is important, is that every MLS Next goalkeeper is 6'2", 180 pounds. So I don't know what to do to make any college coach be more interested in one versus the other than showing them actually playing and understanding the game, because they're all going to look the same shot stopping. They're all going to look the same in possession, so how do I, that's why I was just saying, the moment before and the development of the plays and those sorts of things, because the profile is the freaking same. And I blame that on the youth game and profiling goalkeepers at a young age and going like, if you're not this profile, you are not going to be a goalkeeper, and you can either go play another sport or you can be a field player, but you're not going to be a goalkeeper. And then you end up at 17, every MLS Next club's goalkeepers look like the same kid. And it's like, why is so-and-so starting over someone? I'm like, I don't know. They're basically the same. I can't tell you. Brown hair versus blonde hair. I don't know.
Man, that was surgical on the video, though. I'll tell you, that's literally your roadmap to making college video. And then, I mean, take a look at our goalkeepers. We do not have, not all of them are 6'2" or going to be 6'2". We really look at going back to what do we want to happen back there in goal, and then who fits those pieces. So, I'm a big advocate of bio banding, and especially at the younger ages. It's like, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt being taller can be better for goalkeeping for sure, but it's not the end result. You can be 6'2", but if you have, a 2 centimeter vertical, that's not, you don't have that piece to it. Then I'd rather have a 5'10" goalkeeper, who can jump 3 feet. That'd be, way more beneficial. So we do look for those early markers, and but we don't hold it to the standard. Like the height piece isn't necessarily standard for us, but it is important. Yeah, that is tough. It is important.
Well, I think it's just very frustrating as somebody that's it's working with a lot of goalkeepers that are passionate and want to continue playing the position, and it goes like, okay, well, the John Bushes, the Nick Ramondos, like these kids aren't even getting a chance at 9 or 10 anymore. So like they go off and play basketball or football or whatever type of thing because they're like, well, they're not going to play me, and I don't want to be a left back. So.
Well, I'll say then it goes back to finding the place that's right for you. So if all the MLS Next goalkeepers at one club are 6'2", and you're not going to be 6'2", that's probably not the club for you. So do a little bit of the research when you're looking for a place to find out, Sac Republic, they're not all 6'2". Maybe that's an open-minded organization that my kid could thrive in because he has the talent, he has the ability, the concentration, the willingness to learn. Those are things that we value, on top of what we're doing. So it doesn't have to be us, but find the place that's going to value you and your commitment. And you have to also be committed. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people come in and out and they have the ability or they think they do, but they don't want to do the work. And, if you're not willing to do the work, it doesn't matter if you 7'2", right?
No. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, and I know, God, man, we got off on so many tangents, but we're going to be on for 4 hours. But like, the thing is that like, I think that it's all over the world, and I'm seeing it is that, and I was talking to Bill Reno about this the other day, and I don't know if you know Bill at all, but and we were talking about is like every goalkeeper at every level is the same profile in the men's game and the women's game, and it's not just the United States; it's all the way around the world. And I'm talking about the developmental levels. At the pro level, at the first team level, they're all different shapes and sizes. Why? Because at that level, it's about results. At that level, it's about, can you get the job done? Are you effective? But the problem is that if you're only prospecting people that fit a specific profile, you're going to get to a point at the first team level, and you're already starting to see it. It happened with the Manuel Neuer and the Ter Stegen type thing. Next thing you know, every goalkeeper that was being graduated to first team environments looked like Manuel Neuer or Ter Stegen. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that type of a thing. It's just that, like, where's the Shea Givens? Where are the guys that didn't fit that profile, the Iker Casillas, all those sorts of things. And so anyway, that's a whole other it's not just goalkeeping. Look at the NBA. Everyone's 6'7".
It all goes back from pulling through the game, though, right? Like the pro game. And it's the adverse thing. We're not pulling the profiles of the goalkeepers back to the youth game and saying, oh, it's okay. Like, what are the markers that make them special because they're not so tall and getting the job done? But then we look at it's interesting. So I have a unique perspective having coached for a professional first team, right? In that environment, I didn't choose my goalkeepers. I came in later once they were already chosen. And if your first team goalkeeper has a bad game, you put them on loan or you drop their contract. Then if your next goalkeeper has a bad game or second bad game, the goalkeeper coach gets fired. It's not the goalkeeper, it's the coach. So at the pro level, we're not building total goalkeepers. We're taking what we have and then making them the best they are to win. Like you said, it's about winning games and getting results. At the youth, it's not that way. So it drives me crazy when I see young goalkeepers and I see all these videos online and they're doing these pro techniques, a 9-year-old, coming out and pushing wide. And it could, again, you said cultural. I know from my Colombian coach, catching was not a factor. That didn't matter. And I don't know if it's that way anymore, but that's the way it was. Could be that cultural set. But we're not teaching them in the best case situation. We go to the worst case situation. And I think with the youth, we have to start with the best case, teaching them the foundation, catching, distribution, positioning. But I see all these videos, positioning has no place for it. There is no position game in any of it. They're all offset, and they're half the time they're not even in front of the goal. That's the number one way 9 and 10-year-olds are going to get scored on. They're way off to the side of the post, and there's no one even in the goal. And so I think that's the danger. There's things we can pull from the pro game, like you said, the profile, that it's okay, looking for certain physical markers or elements of intelligence. But then the other piece, when we're talking about curriculum and development, it's very dangerous to pull from the pro game because you don't have the references of what they're trying to accomplish. You just see it, say, oh, that worked for them. I'm going to try to do it with my 9-year-old. And that can be a slippery slope.
Yep. And then the pictures aren't the same because the game is different. The game is very different. And I had this conversation with somebody years and years and years ago. Is that they said you need to coach for the game. You need to coach for the game, not for the concept, for the game. And this is the ECNL level. This is what they're seeing. This is how the ball moves at this level. This is how balls swing in at this level. This is how through balls come in at this level. This is how passes. This is how the touches, the prep touch of their teammates are at this level. Teach for that. Because if you're teaching them for the end result, it's not going to be, it might be reasonably effective, but it's not going to be as effective. And then let them grow with the game. So as the game grows, they grow. So, don't try. If you're training a goalkeeper to play for Barcelona's first team at 9 years old, but their team is being trained to play U9 soccer, that's a whole different game.
Yes.
But just don't have that U11 player still playing like they were when they were 9 years old. There's got to be maturation in the phases of development type of a thing. So, and that's actually something I want to ask you about here. First off, what do we have going on right here? Because this looks like it's day 4 of a Sac Republic session. Is that what's going on right here?
Yes, this was crossing day 4. So we're working on different situations. So I call this pressure training. So in my periodization, we usually do like 3-week periodizations, and again, different environment, right? Because I have multiple days to train the goalkeeper in isolation and with the team. So I can do days within the curriculum, and then I can do days based on what they're going to see in the game, where that's different than the traditional youth, training, where you have 1 day of training in isolation. You have no clue who they're going to play on the weekend. So you only go off curriculum, right? So this is day 4, pressure training. We've already done the technical elements. So within that periodization, we go technical game, or I would, well, I won't use the U.S. lingo right now. So technical game. And then we build mini games within it where there has to be different kind of decision making. So
I thought you were about to throw a Dutch word in there or something like that.
Well, maybe. So day 1, we worked on approach, body posture, hand shaping, drive, going through it, all technique. And then day 2, we were working on live action balls, just whipping in different in swingers, out swingers, and then approach that. And then we incorporated, and then as we move up, we will go to crosses you can't get. So it's all crosses you can get, then crosses you cannot get. And then how do you reshape it? How do you communicate those situations? And then we go into pressure training, which is what you're looking at here with multiple facets. So you take a shot, there's a distribution piece where the transition, because you're always going to have that. Then that transitions to a cross. And then that cross could be high or low inside your area, or high or low outside your area, and how you deal with that. And then there'll be a transition piece to that. So looks confusing. All the arrows and stuff are very confusing, but it all goes back to the detail and, like you said, intent. So what are we trying to accomplish with this aim? And then how do we educate it? And then what the goalkeeper should learn at the end of this. And so then again, it's not going to be perfect. We really don't have that much time, but I break up their curriculum into 2 6-month periods. So we hammer it away, and then in the fall and then in the spring, as we're going through it, it's actually more accelerated, because the goalkeepers are further along. And then we have the same issues that, or I should say challenges, not issues, that other clubs do. So we'll have trialists come in and out. And those trialists haven't been working in the methodology. And it's really good. It's affirming for me because I see this goalkeeper, very talented, that's why they're there. But I see where they are compared to the goalkeepers I've been working with for 6 months. And I'm so proud of the goalkeepers and how far we've gone. And then I have to weigh that potential, right? It's like, okay, I'm not looking at what you are because I know you'll get better in 6 months. I have to look at where you will be and what that potential is. And in the club environment, the youth club environment, you could have rotating goalkeepers. We have the same core 6 every training session. And then, 2 or 3 new ones just pop in and they rotate. And then how do you keep the consistency with those new ones coming in? And the reality of it is you just have to slow it down for them. We've gotten into situations where it was intimidating, right? Because it can be intimidating. You're coming in new, you don't know the techniques. The other goalkeepers have been doing it for a long time, and then you don't want to come back. So you have to create that safe environment where it's okay to make mistakes, and you spend a little bit more time with them. Hopefully you have someone to help you, or you can step away and give them a little personal. If your organization, like these ones flow without me doing any distribution. The only time I step in to do the distribution is maybe on the crosses if I want to rotate them in swinger, out swinger with consistency. So you can pull one goalkeeper out if you have 4 or 5 goalkeepers, and you can kind of catch them up a little bit, give them a little individualized attention while these ones go. And that's good because this is a way for them to learn on their own, right? Which is a very big, important part of learning. But again, at the Sac Republic, I don't have to worry about messing around. In a youth environment, I do have to worry about those kids messing around if you're not watching right. So it's just about strategic positioning and having certain expectations and cues. And I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah, look, there's a big difference between working in an independent club environment or professional club environment and the independent academy environment. They're all completely different. But I think one of the things that I love about that in regards to the curriculum is that there's ways to make adjustments in those environments to make it effective for those environments. I always say this to any parent in regards to when they go on trial to a club. This is, if you're going on trial to a club, do not expect to go there to go into a learning environment for your goalkeeper. You're going there to showcase, first off, to see if it's a good fit for you, and second of all, to see if it's a good fit for them. But if you're expecting them to take their time to just pull you out of the session and talk to you about the session, that's not realistic, because they have to focus on all the goalkeepers in the environment and make sure that that the session is consistent. I always say, that a group environment is very different than an individual environment. Individual environment, is an active lecture. I can stop the session. I can talk to you, and by individual environment, I mean 1 goalkeeper, 2 goalkeepers, 3 goalkeepers. Independent club environment might be 6 goalkeepers, might be 8 goalkeepers. And, and like you said, it might even be so-and-so doesn't have a goalkeeper this weekend, so they've told them to come to goalkeeper training this week. And it's like, well, I'm not going to try to teach goalkeeping to this young player in one session, because that's not fair to the other goalkeepers that are there. I'm just going to try to make them positive, feel good, and bring up little coaching points if I see them make an action. Say, hey, try that on your side next time. That's effective for us, or whatever type of a thing. I love the fact that in your curriculum you included, balls that you can't catch, balls that you can't make a play on. Because this is really, really, really cool. And I know it's not necessarily on the topic, but it is on the topic of curriculum, because I think so many goalkeepers and young coaches think that unless there's an action that's made, whether it's a save or, a possession action or whatever, that it's not something. It's not something we're teaching. But understanding how to close off dangerous areas is just as important as making a final action. So recognizing what's a playable ball and what's not a playable ball and knowing how to move in those situations so that it doesn't become a playable ball and your team clears that ball, or, it doesn't go a shot on goal. I think it's just massively important, and that's that next level of goalkeeper training. So congrats on that. So anyway.
I appreciate it. It all goes back to just what is the role, going back to your player profile. What is it that you look at your goalkeeper, the physical elements and the technical, and then what are their roles and responsibilities? And that could change by organization, but first start with what it is you think, right? And then from there you outline it. So yeah, there's always going to be an action for the goalkeeper, especially in the defensive third. So very, very important. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, again, my voice is shot by 5 o'clock, but dude, the problem is I think I might be getting sick because I had to run sessions in the pouring rain today, and in LA we're allergic to rain, so we don't. No, dude, it was bad. I mean, I'm talking like monsoon.
Oh,
dude,
really?
It was like monsoon. Oh, it was bad. It was coming down hard. Yeah, I mean, like, it was to the point where, like, when I was getting in the car, I was trying to, like, wipe down my keys so I didn't electrocute myself when I started the car. It was that bad. And I was like shivering like a tiny little terrier dog, like, just, yeah, it was not great. But anyway, so my voice might be shot from that, but, why don't you break down what you got going on right here? Because this is earlier on. Is this earlier on in the same week? Is that what's going on here? This is day 1, I believe.
Yeah, this is going to be earlier on. Yeah. So, and maybe we don't even get to all this. This all goes back to the write out everything, right? And then how the goalkeepers are actually doing within the session. We can speed it up or not speed it up, or we can add an extra action. So our sessions are always going to be pretty fast paced, and also pretty competitive. And there's going to be multiple actions, because that's what goalkeeping is. It's not tap, 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 catch, tap, 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 catch. It's going to be, okay, I made the save. Now what do I do? Like, there's never going to be just grabbing the ball and dishing it off for a corner kick. I saved it. Okay, boom, next one. Never going to be that, because we want to have good practice habits in it. I think this is a big thing too. Like, any kind of stuff that's important like that, my goalkeeper's always asking about the tennis racket thing. I'm like, we'll do that. Like, agility and hand-eye coordination and that stuff, very important, but not on the field. You get 1 hour a week with your goalkeeper, and you have 6 of them, and you have to get reps. They need to learn the game, and they need to learn in front of the goal. So we take that, give it to them as homework. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see sometimes I bring those blitz pods out, the skills ones. That's before training starts. I set them up so the goalkeepers can have a little bit of fun before they get there. But 1 minute before we start, we're on the field doing action. Like, that's good stuff to have, but not during goalkeeper training. So start to finish these sessions, this is exactly how we run them. We're in front of the goal. We always use, about a third of the field. I know that's not everyone's situation, but even with the club environment, I negotiate field space, and, in the wintertime, we get cut down to a sixth of the field, and that's more difficult. But for the most part of the year, we're going to be using a third of the field, so the goalkeeper can be in the situation that they're going to see in the game, and they can feel the way that it should feel in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome that you've got that. I mean, again, it's about making adjustments in your environment, and everyone's going to have different limitations and everything like that. I mean, like, I can't tell you how many times I've set up a session, and next thing I know, well, I don't know, there's apparently a dog training going on here. So I didn't know about this, and this was not told to me. So now I've got pit bulls, and I've got German shepherds to the right of me, and to the left of me is some sort of picnic going on, and I got to make the best of it, type of a thing. So, we're always gonna have limitations, but that's awesome that you've got that, and that's really, really nice. So, congratulations for being in an environment that allows you to do that. Everyone's probably going like, well, yeah, isn't that usually how club environments go? I'm like, no, I don't think you've been to Southern California.
Yeah.
space is limited down here. So is the issue that we've got going on here. Well, Kris, I know that we've been going for a while now, and I'm sure you got a lot of things. Did it rain up there today too?
It did. Yeah. Yesterday and today it rained in NorCal. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys train in the rain, so
we did. Yeah. We ran striker goalkeeper training last night. It was electric, man. Yeah, everyone was digging it. Coming down and raining, we went after it.
Wow. Yeah. So here, the problem isn't as much as the kids. It's the fields, is because we have such drainage issues in Southern California. The second it starts raining, the parks shut down, and so everything that is available, becomes very competitive type of a thing. So it makes it difficult. But come to Southern California, guys. It's great. Come here. We enjoy it. Well, Kris, as we start wrapping up here, I want to ask you, do you have any advice for anybody who wants to start their own academy, but also wants to work at a club? Like what would you tell them?
Well, start with your game model. So, we're training from experiences. Write it down. What is it you believe in? What's your philosophy, vision on goalkeeping? Just get that doubt in what you truly believe in, and then start building your first curriculum. One of my first directors, Andrew Zemer, he challenged me to sit down and write a goalkeeper curriculum, and I did. And then I started, really tailoring that. The curriculum that we have now is an evolving curriculum. I tell all my coaches this. You're all on the front lines with me. Give me feedback on the curriculum so we can keep making it better. I look at what it is now to my very first curriculum, and I'm like, oh, this was terrible. Absolutely. But it's better than 90% of what anyone has, because they haven't sat down and really thought about what each kid needs by stage of development. So a lot of coaches are training a 9-year-old the same way they train their 19-year-old. And so really think about what it is each kid needs, periodize that. That's going to be your starting point. The anonymity piece comes from trust. So the reason why we're allowed to be in multiple clubs, including Hawaii now. So we're in California and Hawaii.
Wow, Hawaii.
Yeah, really excited about that. Is because we built good relationships, and then we have good references. So even the clubs that, they moved away from us for financial reasons or whatever it is, we still have good references from them that, we're going to report to them. We're going to bring in the curriculum, the methodology pieces, and that, they don't have to worry about us, moving players to different clubs and stuff like that. I know, who was I talked to someone, I think it was Big Joe, actually years ago, at a Brad Friedel thing. He asked me how I got into multiple clubs. And I told him it's just based on my reputation and my ability to stay non-partial. And that's one thing I love about goalkeeping. I've been a pro assistant coach. I've been semi-pro head coach and a youth coach. And I just love the anonymity of goalkeeping, because, you can kind of be in these different worlds and in different directors things, but it's a vault. I'm not sharing any information. And then that's how you kind of, you build that model, is you have a good product, you build good reputations, and then you can grow from there.
Yeah. I think, the one thing, I would also tell to a young coach out there is that, building the curriculum's awesome and everything like that, but like the intent of that curriculum and those sessions is the most important thing. And your coaching behaviors out there, like, if you have the best sessions in the world and you can't run them, and then they're not going to be beneficial to anybody. So it's like, so work on your coaching aspect as well too. Keep getting those reps as a coach. So you can understand how to check for understanding, how to change your behaviors based on the profile of the goalkeeper that you're working with. I don't know. These are just some things that I've kind of noticed, with young coaches out there.
And I would definitely say start taking the licenses. Kind of my personal thing is it's for personal growth, and I found so much value. But honestly, there's so many goalkeeper coaches that have not even their grassroots licenses. So when you go out there, and it doesn't mean you're a bad coach or good coach, right? I mean, we know some A licensed coaches that, we know some grassroots coaches that are amazing. But the point is is when you get into those courses, you get challenged what you believe in, you learn something new, and then you start writing things down. I mean, the sessions that you popped up, I mean, I have thousands of those sessions for teams and goalkeepers and teams. And that's a big advice too. Write it down. Yeah. Whatever it is you're going to do, even if you don't hit that curriculum, write down what you're doing, and you'll kind of surprise yourself with how much detail that you can put into it and how much better you can make your session by doing that.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great point. Well, dude, awesome, Kris. Thanks for taking the time on a rainy day right here as I'm losing my voice, and I want to go train, but like I wonder if that's a bad idea for me right now. Do you ever in that situation where you're like, well, I haven't trained since Friday. I want to train, but like I'm probably doing more self of a disservice. But from a mental standpoint, I'll feel great afterwards. So I don't know. I have to figure out where I go from that. If people want to connect with you, where's the best place for them to connect?
Definitely Instagram or the MGA website. So mgasoccer.com or Maverick Goalkeeper Academy on Instagram. And we're active on both. And anything you need. Even if we don't have, I mean, I've had some people reach out to me from different states, and we're not in Colorado or Arizona, but it's all part of that union, right? Like we know someone knows someone. You don't have to train with us. If you want goalkeeper training, we'll help connect you with somebody that can get you goalkeeper training wherever you need it.
How many programs do you have running right now?
11 clubs.
Wow.
And then we have camps and clinics in 3 locations right now, 4 locations. Yeah. And we're looking.
How many coaches?
We have 14 coaches, 15 including me.
Wow. That's incredible, dude. That's very, very, very cool. Wow. Look at this. This empire that you've built right here. This is just unbelievable.
People helping.
And it's insane, but I mean, it's insane that you still do the stuff at the club, at the club level and the pro team level. I mean, I don't know how you find the time. Do you not sleep? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah. 36/8, right? Someone, one of my very first mentors said, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And I think he just wanted me to coach more teams. But, at the end of the day, he's right. You only have so much bandwidth for everything, but the more you do it, the better you get. And I think if you have a good product and you have a very open personality where you're willing to work with people are going to work with you. And so I'm a part of 3 organizations with good people in it. And, at MGA, my people support me and I support them, and they take care of that. And then, in the Sac Republic, I'm very supported. And with Vacaville, I'm very supported there. So, it's just people helping people. I love that.
Nice, dude. Awesome. Well, guys, obviously you can reach out to us at contact@inside18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast or at the Union Goalkeeping or at Michael Magid if you want to talk about anything other than soccer goalkeeping. Or I guess you can reach out to me about soccer goalkeeping there too. As you guys may know, the Union is moving over. We got a next generation platform. So your current Union app will be sunsetting, but you will be getting a link to download the new app. It's got all sorts of new resources, all sorts of new bells and whistles. The graphics are better. It's shinier. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. People are going to enjoy it. So be on the lookout for that, guys, or that email. That's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.